1970, we were booked to play the Isle of Wight Festival, which was the sort of follow-up to Woodstock. It was the next big festival. We arrived there on the Friday, and it was just like a crisis refugee centre that you saw on the news. It was just the enormous amount of people had arrived from everywhere. The whole thing had sort of overwhelmed, I think, even the organisers. It was a little bit chaotic. Of course, the PA system that they would have had is probably smaller now than most people's front room hi-fis. Anyway, Taste had gone on. People like Tony Joe White had played. But when Taste hit the stage, what people hadn't counted on was that Taste had already worked Europe very well, had a huge German following, a French following, Swiss, Italian, whatever, had toured all these countries, which very few of those bands had done at that time. So they were very warmly welcomed, and of course people wanted to be rocked at festivals. People wanted to get up and cheer and get excited, and Rory certainly could turn on an audience. So they did their 30 minutes and were told that they had to leave, but the audience just stood and cheered, actually gave them 7 different encores. I always recall an American promoter saying to me, the one thing he said, you know about your brother, he never threatens you with not going on stage, but he threatens you with not coming off. There had been sort of rumblings for quite some time. It had become quite acrimonious between the manager, a chap called Eddie Kennedy, and Rory. Taste were already on the boards as already a top 10 album in the UK, and we're still playing through the Hurley Box PA system that Rory had kept over from the show band days. There was no sort of investment into the band. The band were travelling in a small transit with myself as road manager and driver to the band, and really taking an enormous amount of gigs and work on, so it was quite punishing, and questions were being asked by Rory, so there was quite a rift happening already by that American tour in the States. Rory felt the management weren't taking America seriously, so came back from that tour, and then the Isle of Wight wasn't long after, and by this stage Europe had exploded, and Polydor had invested in a Taste headlining a large Polydor package tour throughout Europe. And so after the Isle of Wight, they just had this row backstage and they decided to split.
I had to go, but I wouldn't say that I was completely ignored here. The circuit, in those days, the beat club circuit was very small, and the next thing you say to yourself, well, what happens now? I mean, the show band halls would take a beat group as a support to a show band and so on. But it's just one of those inevitable things that you feel like there's a big world out there. So, and for the recording, I mean, in those days, like, the recording situation was strictly in London. But it's just one of those things. I mean, you don't want to just do the Irish circuit. You want to broaden and play to foreign audiences and see what happens.